Partner visa double grants. So every couple wants a double grant, but unfortunately not every couple is eligible for one. So generally with a partner visa, you go through a two-stage process. You're granted the provisional visa first, and then 2 years after you apply, you're then eligible for your permanent residency. But there are certain pathways to which you can get your permanent residency without going through this two-stage process. For the purposes of this blog, I'm going to be talking about the pathway which refers to long-term relationships. So that is, if you and your partner can demonstrate that you have been in a long-term relationship for 3 years or more at the time of application, or 2 years or more, and you have a child of the relationship together at time of application. So who's eligible for a double grant? Well, one of the common mistakes I see is when couples are reading about double grants and they see that you need to demonstrate you've been in a long-term relationship, they think that long-term refers to the amount of time you've been together or the amount of time that you've been dating. But really, to be considered for a double grant, you need to demonstrate that you've either been in a de facto relationship or a spousal relationship for 3 years or more at the time of application. So that's when you're submitting the partner visa, not when a decision is made. Or you've been in a de facto relationship or a spousal relationship for 2 years or more at the time of application, and you have a child together. What evidence do I need to get a partner visa double grant? That's a great question. So in terms of evidence, you've heard me talk about evidence being key and evidence being critical to your partner visa. So this is true for the provisional partner visa. It's even more true when it comes to your permanent residency, or in your case, if you're looking to get a double grant. So when we're talking about evidence, you need to provide evidence across the 4 pillars of relationship. If you've been in a spousal relationship, say for 5 years, you want to make sure that you're going back at least those 5 years to provide evidence that you've been together. It doesn't matter if you've been together for say 5 years or 10 years. If your evidence does not substantiate your claims, you're probably not going to get a double grant. Do I need to provide a letter to request the double grant of my partner visa? This is another great question. So when I was acting for couples, we would provide what's called legal submissions or separate letters, which basically goes through the criteria of a partner visa and then draws attention to the fact that this couple is eligible for a double grant. With the Partner Visa Academy, what I teach couples to do is advocate that for themselves. So if you have been in a long-term relationship and you're really wanting that double grant, then I think it is a really good idea for you to put in a separate cover letter. This is something that I cover with you during the evidence planning session. It's also something that I cover during my review for you at the end, where I teach you how to draft this cover letter and the type of wording you should use when submitting your application. I didn't get a partner visa double grant. Can I contact immigration and request one? Well, this depends. So if you meet the criteria for being in a long-term relationship and you're quite confident that you've provided all of the evidence that you have and you've still not received the double grant, then it might be worthwhile contacting immigration. At the end of the day, the department are decision makers. They're human beings. So they may have missed something. They may have accidentally only given you the provisional visa and not the permanent visa. But in saying that, the evidentiary threshold is really, really high. So if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to putting your partner visa together, then you're probably lessening the chance of getting a double grant. So like I mentioned before, if you've even been in a relationship or you've been married for 5 or 10 years, but your evidence is not pointing back to that date, then there's little chance of you getting a double grant. So I think an evidence planning session is really going to help you if you're trying to map out all the bits and pieces that you actually need for not only your partner visa, but giving your application the best chance of getting a double grant. I didn't receive a partner visa double grant. Did I do something wrong? So there can be this really big sense of failure from some couples where they're only receiving their provisional visas and not their permanent visas. Remember that you need to qualify for a double grant. They're also very discretionary. The evidentiary threshold is also very, very high. So you shouldn't always view it as a failure. If you don't meet the criteria for being in a long-term relationship, then there's nothing you can really do to get a double grant. You will have to go through that 2-stage process. But the key here is for couples who have been in a long-term relationship. There are certain things that you can do and you should do to maximize the chance of getting both visas granted together. Please note that this blog is intended for general information only and does not constitute immigration advice. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button and head on over to thepartnervisaacademy.com.au. I'll see you in the next video.